Today's lesson is 2.4, partial quotients. The essential question, how can you use partial quotients to divide two-digit divisors? So yesterday we did a little bit of partial quotients when we were drawing out the models and using the manipulatives and going by 10. So we're going to do the same thing, only this time instead of using the manipulatives, we're going to be using numbers. So people in the United States eat about 23 pounds of pizza per person every year. If you ate that much pizza each year, how many years would it take you to eat 775 pounds of pizza? So it says, rewrite in one sentence the problem you're asking to solve. Well, the question is, how many years would it take you to eat 775 pounds of pizza? And you're eating about 23 pounds of pizza per year. So one way that you can rewrite that is, how many groups of 23 can be made from 775? Now, dividing the partial quotients. 775 divided by 23. So if we're going to do this in partial quotients, step 1 says subtract multiples of the divisor from the dividend until the remainder is less than the multiple. The easiest part of the quotient to use are tens. So basically what they're saying is we're going to keep kind of dividing by 10 until the remainder that we get is less than this 23, right? So if 10 times 23 is 230. And 775 from 230 is 545. So obviously I need to keep going because 545 is much greater than 23. So if I do that again, I could do another 10 times 23, okay? And 10 times 23 is 230. I subtract 5 from 0 is 5, 4 from 3 is 1, 5 from 2 from 5 is 3. So again, I can do another multiple of 10 times 23. Okay, so now I subtract 230 again. I get 5. I get 9. So now I get 95. Now I can't do a multiple of 10 because 230 is much bigger than 95. So I have to think of a number that is close. 23 goes into 95 about, well, you could try some things. So 23 times, let's just say 5. 23 times 5, that's 15, that's 10, that's 11. Yep, that's too much. So we could try 23 times 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So that's 92. Well, that's pretty close. So I'm going to do 4 times 23, right? So I'm going to put a 4 over here now. And I've got 92. And I have a remainder of 3. Well, 3 is definitely less than 23, so I can't go any further. Now, the answer to my problem is going to be all of this added, because that's what we multiplied by, right? So we have 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 4. So that's 10, 20, 34. So our answer is going to be 34, and we have a remainder of 3. So the answer is 34 with a remainder of 3. 34, remainder 3. So the answer is 34, remainder 3. So it would take you more than 33 years to eat 775 pounds of pizza. Okay, example. Miles is helping his father with a supply order for Pizza Shop. For the next week, the shop will need 1,450 ounces of mozzarella cheese. Each packet of cheese weighs 32 ounces. Complete Miles' work to find out how many packages of mozzarella cheese he needs to order. So as you can see, they're doing all of these by multiples of 10, because 10 times 32 is 320. So we're trying to break this apart. So if I'm doing that, then I'm going to put my 10. Okay, so I have 32. I have 1,450 going into 32. Now, if I were to do this by 10, 10 is 320. Well, we know it's going to be way more than that. So we could just multiply by 20 and see how that goes. So if we have 20 times 32, okay, so now we're going to, over on this side, we're going to put our 20. Okay, then 20 times 32 is 640. So I'm going to subtract 640. I get, I have to take that and I put a 0 there, and I get 810. Well, 810 is less than 640, right? So, or I can still put another 640 into 810. So let's do another 20 times 32. Okay. And I'm going to take my 640 and I'm going to subtract again. And I'm going to get 0, and I have to borrow from here, right? So I'm going to get a 1, and I'm going to get 170. I definitely can't make 640 from 170, right? But I could do something less. 10 times 32 is going to be 320. That's going to be way too much. But half of that, so if I multiplied it by 5, 5 times 32, so let me put my 5 here. 5 times 32 is 160. And I'm left with 10. Well, 10 is less than 32, so I'm not going to be able to do any more. So I'm going to have my remainder of 10. And over here, I could find out how much I actually multiplied by. I multiplied by 20, I multiplied by 20, and then I multiplied by 5. So 20, 45. Okay, so my answer is 45 with a remainder of 10. Okay, let's do the next 3 problems before you do your on your own. So I have 18 going into 648. So look, I'm going to do my partial quotients on the side over here. So I'm going to have 18, right, times 10. So I've got my 10 over here. And so 18 times 10 is 180. I'm going to subtract. I get 8 from 0 is 8. Make that be 14. Make that be 5. So I get 6. And I get 4. So I have 468. So I can do another 18 times 10, right? So I put my 10 right there. So I'm going to take another 180. So I get 8, and I get 16 there, and I get a 3. So 16 minus 8 is 8. 3 minus 1 is 2. So I can get another 180, right? So I've got my another 18 times 10. So I have a 10 partial quotient over here. So I get 8, I get 0, I get 108. Now I can't do 180, but I can do 6. So 18 times 6. 18 times 6. Okay, let's do 18 over here times 6. 8 times 6 is 48. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 4 is 10. So that's 108. So we actually goes in equally. So here's my answer. I have 10, because I multiplied by 10 first, then I did another 10, I did another 10, and I did another 6. So that's 10, 20, 36. So the answer is 36. All right, and looking at the next one, I have 3,186, and I have 62 going into that. I'm not going to do 10s, because if I did 10s, I'm going to have to do a whole bunch of them. So I'm actually going to start with doing 20s. So if I have 20 times 62, right? So I'm going to have 20 over here when I'm doing this. Okay, that is 1,240. Okay, so 6 minus 0 is 6, 8 minus 4 is 2. I can't take 1 from 2, so I'm going to have to make that 11 and make this be 2. I get 1 and I get 9. I can take another 1240 out of it, so I can take another 20 times 62. So I could take another 20. So that's going to be another 1,240. I subtract, I get 6. Can't take 2 from 4. So I get 8. And then I have 8 from 2, which is 6. So I get 686. Now, I can't take another 20 out, but I can take 10 out, because 10 times 62 is 620. So we're going to do 10. So I'm going to take 620. I get 6. I get 66. I can take 1 more out, because 62 and 66, so I'm going to take 1 times 62, and I get 62, and I get a remainder of 4. So now I have 20, 20, 10, and 1. So that's 20, 40, 51. So my answer is 51 with a remainder of 4. Okay, the last problem I'm going to do with you is 858 divided by 57. So I'm going to start with tens. 10 times 57, right? So I'm going to use 10 as my partial quotient. 10 times 57 is 570. So I'm going to subtract. I get 8, I get 2, and I get 3. I can't do another 10 because it's not going to go into 328. I can do a 5. So 5 times 57. Okay, so I'm going to put my 5 out there. Okay, and 5 times 57, we've got 7 times 5, which is 35, and 5 times 5, which is 25, plus the 3 is 280. So we have 285. I'm going to subtract. I get 3. I can't take the 2, so I have to make it be a 12. Okay, which is going to make this one be a 2. And then I have 8 from 12, which is 43. So I have 10, 15. So the answer is going to be 15 with a remainder of 43. All right, you're going to be doing that on your own. I'll be on the carpet. You can work in partners or with me. When you're done with that, you need to work on your math homework. Thank you.